If you're watching this video, it's probably because you're worried about underselling your home with a local real estate agent. There is a particular method of selling your home that can easily achieve around a 10% higher sale price than any of your local real estate agents, regardless of where you live in Australia. This method has embarrassed and baffled real estate agents all over the country with the record sale prices it has achieved. It has taken me over 10 years and several $100,000 to discover what I'm about to share with you. And you will never hear about this from any of your local real estate agents. Before you start thinking that I recommend selling privately or by yourself, there are several reasons why I don't. You can read about them in an article to which there is a link under this video. Now, I'm not going to sell you anything or talk you into anything in this video. All I can do is share with you what my clients and I have experienced since 2011, and you will either resonate with it or you won't. There are two very different solutions that can help you. But before I talk about these, it is important for you to understand the three major problems in using any real estate agent. The combination of these three huge problems guarantees a lower sale price, even if you think you've done well. The three major problems with real estate agents are a lack of incentive to help you achieve the highest sale price, a lack of a vested interest or skin in the game, and the total lack of transparency for you over the process. Let's start with the first problem, the lack of a true incentive to help you achieve the highest sale price. Now, you may have seen my previous video in which I talk about how a percentage-based real estate commission creates a conflict of interest between you and your real estate agent. If you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to watch it. You'll find a link to it somewhere under this video. In a nutshell, a percentage-based commission encourages agents to achieve a quick sale rather than the highest sale price. The reason for this is because the most critical last stretch of your sale price, the last $50,000 or $100,000, adds only very little extra to the agent's commission. Just do the maths for yourself. This lack of incentive influences everything that agents do and don't do. Firstly, they don't really have a strong incentive to negotiate well, or to negotiate at all. Secondly, if they gave you a to-do list of clever and little-known tweaks that would increase your sale price by $50,000 or $100,000, not only would it not make much difference to their commission, but it would also delay your listing and the agent's payday. The second problem is even more obvious. No real estate agent can ever care as much as you do about your sale price. It's not their home. Agents have no skin in the sale and no vested interest in your home, because vested interest can only come with ownership. This is why you can never outsource your vested interest to anybody. Thirdly, there is zero transparency when you're selling with a real estate agent. And it all starts with when they ask you to leave your own home for each inspection. You'd be very surprised if you knew the real reason why they actually ask you to leave, but that's a whole other conversation. The real problem is that there is no transparency during one of the most critical stages of your sale, which is the negotiations. As you now know, agents have very little incentive to negotiate well or at all, but even if they do, it happens behind your back, where you can never hear or see what's being said about you or your home. I have two stories from previous clients of mine that illustrate just one problem with this lack of transparency. These stories will blow your mind, and I will share them with you a little later in this video. You don't want to miss them. Can you see why it is a problem to trust the sale of possibly your most expensive asset to someone who has no vested interest or skin in the game, no real incentive to achieve the highest sale price for it, and who offers you no transparency over the process? These problems create a toxic cocktail which guarantee that you will never achieve the highest possible sale price for your home, even if you think you've done well. If you want to achieve the highest sale price for your home, you need a solution that addresses each of these three major flaws. I mentioned earlier that there are two very different solutions to these three major problems. The first one is tailored to those who live in or near the property they want to sell. The second solution is designed for people who live too far from the property they want to sell. In this video, I'll be focusing on the first solution, which is for those who are selling their family home or a property close to them. If that's not you, and you'd like to find out more about the other solution, please reach out to us on our website www.revolutionaryrealestate.com.au. If you only take one thing from this video, it should be this. Whenever possible, it is critical that you take a more active interest in the sale of your home than what real estate agents would like you to have. You will never ever achieve the highest sale price without doing so. Sometimes we have little choice in the matter. But if you do, and if you consciously decide not to take an active interest in the sale of your home, what that says about you is that you don't really care about the outcome. And if you don't care, then how can you possibly expect someone else to care more? Especially when that someone, a real estate agent, has no vested interest or skin in the game, no real incentive to achieve the highest sale price, and no transparency in the process. Taking a more active interest in your sale has the added benefit of greater transparency for you, and it's the only way to bring your vested interest to the table. Taking a greater active interest in your sale is not what you think it is. It doesn't mean that you have to advertise your home, try to talk people into buying it, negotiating with buyers, or even getting involved with the legal paperwork. I'll talk about what I mean by greater active interest in a minute. The bottom line is this: it's never ever a person, whether an agent, me, or the owner, who sells the property, because you can't talk anyone into buying a home. There's a recipe or a formula that helps to make a property become buyable, where buyers put their hand up and say, I'm interested, what's the next step, how can I make an offer? It is this same formula that achieves the highest sale price. How this formula is applied or executed is just as important as the formula itself. The formula I'm talking about is called the stretch price method, and the way it is applied is via an assisted hybrid sale. The stretch price method has 5 steps, all of which start with the letter P: preparation, presentation, pricing, promotion, and parleying, which is the communication piece. Preparation is about identifying, eliminating, or at least mitigating any potential problems, faults, or flaws with your home. When buyers see any of these, the first question they ask themselves is, what else is wrong with this place? And when they ask themselves this question, they start looking for and finding other issues. In this frame of mind, it becomes much harder for buyers to emotionally engage with your home, which is exactly what we want them to do, because your ideal buyer will happily pay an emotional premium for your home, but only if they are emotionally engaged enough. This is the role of the next step, which is presentation. Now, presentation is not just what people see. Of course, this is important, but just as important is what people hear, don't hear, smell, don't smell, what they touch underfoot as they're walking through your home. Is it nice and cool on a hot summer's day, or is it warm and cozy on a cold winter's day? It all boils down to the single most important thing, which is how people feel about your home. Buyers don't pay a premium for bricks and mortar, or floors, walls and ceilings. Presentation is about creating strong feelings for your home by maximizing its emotional appeal. The only way to do this is via people's senses of sight, sound, smell and touch. All of their senses must be positively stimulated at the same time. Your home should be like a symphony for their senses. This is critically important because the greater the positive impact on their senses, the more emotional your buyer becomes, and the higher your sale price will be. At the end of an inspection, your ideal buyer may not even be able to articulate why they would prefer to buy a home over any other, or why they are happy to pay a premium. All they may know is that they want to continue to own the feeling of being inside it. This is why presentation is by far the most important of the 5 Ps. Nothing else will make as much difference in how much you end up selling for. Even the best salesperson or the best negotiator in the world will never be able to make up for poor presentation. Now, each property offers different opportunities and challenges with regards to presentation, so this must be carefully tailored to each home. I'll reveal how you can do this cost effectively at the end of this video. Pricing is the next step, and it is an interesting one because even if you get every other step right, except for this one, your campaign can still fail. Now, pricing consists of 2 very separate and distinct parts. The first part is about establishing some kind of a range within which you are likely to sell, because no property has a sticker price or a recommended retail price. If you had 3 different people wanting to buy your home today, and they each made you an offer, you would likely be looking at 3 very different offers, not to mention their terms and conditions. But if they were all serious offers, they would probably fall within some kind of a range. It is this range that we need to establish and determine up front. The tighter and narrower we can establish this range to be, the more confidence you will have in evaluating any offers that you receive. Now, this can only be done through very thorough market research, not an appraisal or even evaluation. It has to be far more thorough than both. Now, this is an important part of pricing, but it's not the most important part. Far more important than this is how we pitch or communicate the price to the market. This has to satisfy 5 criteria. Firstly, it needs to attract and entice your ideal buyer into your home, but doing this in a way that doesn't mislead people or attract those who can't afford to pay what your home is worth. We need to give people some kind of a price guide or indication, because most people hate it when they see things like for sale, buy negotiation, contact agent, expressions of interest, etc., etc. They don't know if the home is within their budget or if they're just wasting their time. Many people scroll past ads like that in frustration without even clicking. So we need to give them some kind of a guide or indication, but we need to do it in a way that doesn't put a cap or a limit on what you can achieve. And finally, we need to pitch the price guide in such a way that means you should never ever, at any stage of the campaign, have to reduce that price guide, because if and when you do, you're sending the wrong message to the market that you're running out of time or getting desperate. So, we've covered preparation, presentation, and pricing. The next step is promotion. Now, promotion includes advertising, but it's much more than just that. At the end of the day, there are only 2 reasons why any human buys any property. The first one is awareness, and the second one is perceived value. Awareness is an easy one. If your property is on realestate.com.au and domain, prospective buyers will be aware of it. They will find it. The tricky part is perceived value, because by the very definition of the word, perception is different from person to person. But there are ways in which the perceived value of your home can be increased in the eyes of your ideal buyer. And this is actually one of the 3 jobs of any strong promotional campaign. A strong campaign must firstly increase your ideal buyer's perception of value of your home. Secondly, it should discover what that perception is by encouraging and inviting the market to speak. And thirdly, it should extract the highest price from the best buyer. This is where the final step in this method comes in. The last step in this method is parleying, which refers to all communications with prospective buyers, including negotiations. This is more about how this method is applied or executed. As I said earlier, this is just as important as the method itself, and this is where it's absolutely critical that you, as the owner of the home, take a more active interest in the sale if you truly want to achieve the highest possible sale price. There are 5 reasons for this. Firstly, if you were to engage a traditional real estate agent, regardless of how experienced, competent, helpful or friendly they are, you as the owner of the property would become a faceless entity for prospective buyers. Buyers won't see you, know you, or care about you. And why should they? They just want the most for their money. But there is a problem with this, because this creates a transaction that is more adversarial, win-lose, and more like a tug of war. Buyers won't hesitate to give cheeky, lowball offers, try and take advantage, be more demanding, or less conciliatory. And none of this creates an environment in which you can hope to achieve the highest possible sale price. However, the exact opposite is true when buyers have a chance to encounter you at some stage as the owner of the home. Because what happens without even trying is that a degree of rapport develops between two blood and flesh human beings. When this happens, it makes it far more difficult for buyers to give you cheeky lowball offers, try and take advantage, be more demanding, or less conciliatory. Because most humans, generally speaking, are decent, they don't want to treat their fellow human beings in this way. When there is an authentic and genuine human connection, the nature of the transaction changes completely to one that is more collaborative and win-win. I'm not advocating a private sale, and this doesn't mean that you have to sell your home yourself or even to negotiate with anybody. I'll talk more about this in a second. Just imagine for a moment that instead of an agent, buyers encounter you in your own home. Now, most buyers will be surprised because they'll expect to see an agent. But for the majority, it's a pleasant surprise, and you can actually see them breathe a sigh of relief for not having to deal with an agent. This completely disarms most buyers. As a result, they drop their guard, lower their barriers, and they feel more at ease, more relaxed, and less threatened. They tend to open up to you more, and in casual conversation, reveal information to you that they would never reveal to any real estate agent. This information can be really useful to put together a win-win outcome. Another reason you should take a more active interest in your sale is a simple one. Imagine that someone really likes your property and has specific questions to ask about it. Who's the best person to answer those questions? Of course it's you. Nobody knows more about the home than you do. If an agent were faced with those questions, they'd have two options. Firstly, they could remember each question from each prospective buyer, bring them back to you, get the answer, and then relay it back to each prospective buyer's question. This is very slow, inefficient, and very frustrating for most buyers. And that's if they get an answer at all. Unfortunately, many agents choose option 2, which is to make something up on the spot. Now, I'm not saying that all agents do this, but it's very tempting because it's an instant answer. And buyers know this, which is why they take everything that an agent tells them with a pinch of salt, even if it's the truth. This is the same reason why buyers are far more likely to believe what you say, especially after they've had a chance to develop some rapport with you as the owner of the home. There is an even more important reason for buyers to meet you. When they have a chance to put a face to the home and develop rapport with the decent human being who has taken care of the home, it gives them far greater comfort and confidence in that they're getting something good. Look, I don't know about you, but when I go to an open home that's held by an agent, I can't help but think, who lived here? Why are they selling? What's behind these walls? Buyers tend to have fewer of these niggling concerns when they get a chance to meet the decent human who has looked after the home all this time. Lastly, when you take a more active interest in your sale, you have far greater visibility over the level and quality of interest in your home without having to believe someone else. You'll be more informed and empowered about the best way for us to respond to inquiries and offers, because we will need to respond differently depending on whether there's a lot of interest and offers as opposed to when there aren't. Before I move on to how the negotiations work and how I calculate my fees, let me address a few concerns that some of you may have. Firstly, in case you're thinking that this means you have to sell your own home, the answer is no. You can't talk anyone into buying a home anyway. Plus, people don't like being sold to. By opening the door to your home, you're simply giving prospective buyers a chance to inspect and decide whether the home is for them or not. You shouldn't be selling to or negotiating with anyone. I drive the negotiation process, and it happens in writing. Also, I have a saying that if you have to sell your home, then your marketing stinks. And this method is all about marketing. Secondly, you may also be thinking, don't buyers feel awkward about meeting the owner? All of my clients will tell you that the answer is no. The constant feedback from every client of mine is that most buyers are grateful for the opportunity to meet the owner. Most of them are relieved for not having to deal with an agent. Of course, there will always be a very small minority of buyers who initially think it's a little unusual to meet the owner. But such people are far fewer compared to those who don't like dealing with agents. The bottom line is this: no serious buyer decides either for or against the property because of whoever opens the door. If a buyer doesn't like the selling agent, they will still go through with the purchase. And the exact same applies when the owner opens the door. Most of those few buyers who initially feel skeptical or uneasy about meeting the owner quickly change their perspective when they get a taste of the genuine and authentic nature of this method. The remaining few who don't even want to give this method a chance will simply ask a friend, family, or an agent to represent them. No serious buyer ever walks away from a purchase for this reason. Lastly, some skeptics who have never experienced this method falsely believe that it involves more work than engaging an agent. The hardest part of selling your home is preparing and presenting it. And no agent will do this for you. They can give you advice and contacts, but the rest is up to you. However you sell your home, it is not convenient. Creating and maintaining the look and feel of a display home is not convenient. I have a saying that if the sale of your home feels convenient, it's a sign that you're leaving tons of money on the table because you're not investing time and effort into preparation and presentation. Once your home is on the market, the rest is much easier and doesn't involve much more effort than dealing with an agent. Now, I mentioned earlier that you should never negotiate with potential buyers. I drive the negotiation process, and it all happens in writing for the sake of maximum transparency, among other reasons. It all starts when someone would like to make an offer. Now, an offer is not serious unless it's in writing. This is why I use a letter of offer document. This one-page document captures all the essential details of an offer, including purchase price, deposit, terms and conditions, timeframes and deadlines, etc. Serious buyers are more than happy to complete this document, and once they do, they must email it directly to you, so you're the first one to see it, for maximum transparency. In a minute, I'll give you 2 stories that highlight why this is so important. For each offer you receive, and hopefully there'll be more than one, we'll have a conversation about the person who made it, because you will have met them. I'll ask you certain questions about each person who makes an offer, and I'm looking for certain buyer signals that people give, which help me to gauge the strength of each prospective buyer. This helps me to tailor the written responses to their offer, which I craft. I base each response around unique strategies that I've been refining since 2011. These work really well to discover and extract each buyer's absolute highest and best offer. Every response that I craft, I email directly to you for maximum transparency. When you read my responses, you will see that they don't look and feel and smell like typical negotiations. They're very authentic, genuine, friendly, and courteous. They continue to build on the positive rapport that has already developed between you and the buyer. This rapport helps to foster and leverage a lot of positive reciprocity from buyers, which can really help to achieve wonders. Whether it's a record sale price, favorable terms and conditions for you, a smoother transaction, or all of these things. All you have to do when you receive my responses is simply lift my words out and paste them into your reply to a prospective buyer's email. I cannot emphasize enough how valuable this is. The style of the response, combined with the fact that it seemed to be coming from you, helps it fly under the radar for most buyers and continues to keep their guard down and makes them feel at ease. When they feel like they're dealing with a blood and flesh equal on a level playing field, they respond far more favourably than when they are up against a cunning, silver-tongued real estate agent. When buyers are treated well and feel good about a transaction, they tend to return the favour in many wonderful ways. Now, if you remember from the beginning of this video, I talked about the three major problems in dealing with any real estate agent: lack of incentive, lack of vested interest or skin in the game, and lack of transparency. I also mentioned that I have two stories from clients of mine to share with you. These stories illustrate just one problem with the usual lack of transparency in dealing with a real estate agent. Both stories come from people who shared with me their experiences of previous sales with different real estate agents. They both chose agents who they thought were the most competent and trustworthy, like most sellers do. Shortly after the first person sold with his agent, he was approached by another agent who was absolutely flabbergasted and incredulous. This agent asked him, "Why didn't you take the offer I made? It was much higher than what you sold for." My client's jaw dropped. And he said, "Excuse me, what?" As it turned out, this second agent was representing a buyer and made an offer on their behalf. Unfortunately, the vendor's agent never disclosed that offer, because if the seller took it, which he definitely would have, then the selling agent would have had to split his commission with the agent who was representing the buyer. This is called a conjunction in the real estate sales industry. In other words, the selling agent knowingly undersold the home to selfishly maximize his commission. Incredible. The next story is just as disturbing. After selling her home with her preferred local agent, this second seller met one of her prospective buyers at the local shops by complete fluke. Like in the previous story, this person asked the seller why she didn't accept her offer, when it was considerably higher than what she sold for. Again, this seller was totally shocked. It turned out that the selling agent never presented that offer, because if the vendor accepted it, which she would have, the settlement would have taken place later, delaying the agent's commission. Can you believe it? Of course, when agents don't present all offers to vendors, they are not only doing a disservice, but also breaking the law. Unfortunately, this practice is hard to police and prove, and therefore it still happens every day. Except most sellers will never know if this has happened to them. Hopefully by now, it's crystal clear to you how the stretch price method brings your vested interest to the table, and how this gives you maximum transparency over the process. That leaves one last issue, which is the incentive to help you achieve the highest sale price. This can only be done through a success-based reward structure. I think you know by now how I feel about a percentage-based commission. I believe that if you choose someone to help you achieve the highest possible sale price for your home, you should only pay that person to help you achieve the last stretch, the cream, or the premium of your property's value. And this is how I charge. My fee is based on how much I can help to negotiate up from the initial reasonable and decent offer of your actual buyer. And it can't just be any cheeky lowball offer. Now, how do we know that an offer is reasonable and decent? Well, it needs to be within that range that we've established up front, thanks to the very thorough market research process. Now, in addition to the lack of incentive, lack of vested interest, and lack of transparency, another thing I really don't like is when an agent locks you into a contract for around 3 months or so. Many of them use this time to condition your price expectations down after they've enticed you into listing with the promise of a sale price you want to hear. Instead, I use a very simple one-page letter of engagement, which is in plain English, no legal jargon. And even in that document, I make it very clear that if you don't like me, my method, or strategies, you're welcome to change your mind and walk away with no obligation. Those who are skeptical of the stretch price method and the hybrid assisted sale sometimes point out the obvious. I'm located in Brisbane, Queensland, yet most of my clients are spread all across the country. Some of them ask me this: David, if you're not local to my area, then how can you possibly help me achieve a higher sale price than the agents who live and work here? And the answer to that is very, very simple. As you know, real estate agents don't have a vested interest or incentive to help you achieve the highest sale price, even though they are local and know the area. So just being local is not enough to achieving the highest sale price. Now, why is local knowledge important? Well, it helps to understand who the buyers are and why they are paying different amounts for different homes in different pockets of the same suburb, or even different ends or sides of the same street. These days, all this information can be gathered from very thorough research without having to be in the area personally. At the end of the day, all of this only matters for one reason: knowing local prices. Now, not even the best local agent will sell every property in a suburb. So unless they research all the other sales that they weren't involved in, then they won't know the local prices as well as someone who has done that research. This is exactly what I do. And this is partly why the stretch price method has embarrassed and baffled local real estate agents all over the country by achieving higher sale prices than even they thought possible. I hope that by now it is clear to you why a percentage-based commission encourages a quicker sale rather than the highest sale price. If it is, then you will also understand why agents don't have enough incentive to give you a list of all the tweaks that increase the emotional appeal, perceived value, and sale price of your home. After all, the extra $50,000 or $100,000 this would add to your sale price won't make much difference to their commission, but it would delay your listing and their payday. In contrast, my results-based success fee depends on how much I can negotiate up for you, which depends heavily on how well your home has been prepared and presented. For this reason, it is in my own selfish best interest to ensure that your home is presented in a particular way. Now, just because you've seen my videos or read my content, you still don't know me from a bar of soap. Selling a property is one of the most significant transactions you can have. It requires considerable trust between you and whoever you choose to help you. This trust cannot be built in a video or online. So, as a way for you to try me out or take me for a test drive without any risk to you, I offer a walkthrough consultation where we go through your home together from front to back and top to bottom. I'll give you a list of specific suggestions tailored to your home that will help to increase your sale price by around 10%. The suggestions I make during this consultation are those that not only help to increase your sale price, but also save you money at the same time. These suggestions will give you the biggest bang for your buck and return on any money you spend. Often, vendors overcapitalize and spend way more than they need to, and often spend it on the wrong things. The earlier you take advantage of this consultation, the more likely it is that I can save you from making some very expensive and unnecessary mistakes in preparing your home for sale. The sooner you take advantage of this consultation, the more time you'll have to execute my suggestions and the less stress and pressure you'll have to get these things done at the last minute, just before you sell. Now, even though I charge for this consultation, it is totally risk-free for you, because if you don't feel like it was worth the cost, then I will give you your money back. My fee for this consultation is $497, which I think is a very cost-effective way to increase your sale price by around 10% or more. I don't hold back with any of my advice during these consultations, which is why I'm prepared to spend as much time as your property requires. If at any time after this consultation we end up working together, then the $497 you paid will simply become your engagement fee with me. After the successful sale of your home with this method, I will give this money back to you. However, please note that I only offer 2 of these consultations each week, and often I get booked out well in advance. In addition, I only offer this consultation to those who I think would be a good fit for this method. Just like you are free to choose the right solution for you, I also like to be able to choose who I get to help and work with. Over the years, I've learned that, unfortunately, there are people who I'd rather not work with. For this reason, I'm not like real estate agents who will chase down anyone with a heartbeat and a property to sell. I believe that if I had to chase someone, then they're not a good fit for this method, which is why I never chase anyone. If you'd like to find out whether you qualify for this consultation, you can schedule a quick call with me using my calendar at the bottom of this page. On this call, you can ask me any questions you may have, and we can both determine whether or not there's a good fit. Although I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, please only schedule a call with me on this page if you'd like to take advantage of the walkthrough consultation. Below this video, you'll also find links to other eye-opening content that you won't read or hear anywhere else. I encourage you to examine them for yourself. I'd love to see you set a new record sale price for your street, suburb or category by selling for around 10% more than you could with any other method.